Over the past quarter century, our democracy has matured. It has become a permanent part of the parliamentary structure of the United Kingdom, taking its place alongside Scotland and Northern Ireland. And over that quarter century, it has grown, it's taken on new responsibilities. It has become a legislature in its own right. It has become a true parliament, a Senedd. Yn Cymru, rydyn rhoi gwerth ar yn democratiaeth, y gyfraith y bod yn atebol i'r bobl sy'n yn chethol ni. Felly mae'n hanfodol yn bod ni'n mynd ati i wecha y moderneiddion democratiaeth o hyd. Fel hyn, bydd yn gallu ymateb i'r heriau sydd o'n blaen ni fel cenedl, fel teyrnas unedig dros y degawdau nesaf. In Wales, we value our democracy, the rule of law and our accountability to the people of Wales who elect us. It is therefore vital that we continually seek to refresh, improve and modernise our democracy to make it fit for the many challenges we face as a nation, as a United Kingdom over the coming decades. Yesterday, the Senedd Cymru Members and Elections Bill was laid before the Senedd. It presents us and the people of Wales with a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make the changes necessary to modernise the Senedd, reflecting our 21st century Wales. A more effective Senedd with the ability and capacity to hold the Welsh Government to account. A more representative Senedd to better serve the people of Wales. When first established, the Assembly had no primary lawmaking powers and was not formally separated from the Welsh Government. Today, the Senedd makes laws, sets taxes, holds the Welsh Government to account in some of the areas which have the greatest impact on people's lives. Yet despite these increased powers and responsibilities, despite a compelling case for Senedd reform being made through a succession of experts' reports over the last 2 decades, its size and its capacity to properly fulfil its responsibilities has not been addressed until now. And that is why I say this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for change, an opportunity I believe we must seize. This is, of course, an unusual bill, and although it's brought forward by the government, its genesis was in the deliberations of the Special Purpose Committee on Senedd reform. The committee's report, published less than 16 months ago and endorsed by the Senedd on the 8th of June 2022, reflects the clear and compelling case for Senedd reform. I'm pleased to say that the bill would deliver most recommendations made by the committee, and it represents a shared priority in the cooperation agreement with Plaid Cymru. I thank the committee's members for their work and their predecessors on the Committee on Senedd Electoral Reform and the expert panel on Assembly Electoral Reform. The bill provides for the Senedd to have 96 members, with 6 members elected per constituency. The bill will also simplify the Senedd voting system. Voters will be able to see all the names of each party's listed candidates. They will have 1 vote and 1 ballot paper, as opposed to the current 2. Voters will simply have to mark the box of their party or independent candidate of their choice, with the seats calculated fairly using the D'Hondt method. Rather than most members being elected through a first-past-the-post system, all members of the Senedd will be elected using closed proportional lists. It provides for the creation of 16 Senedd constituencies for the 2026 election through the pairing of the 32 new UK parliamentary constituencies in Wales in an independent review. It also provides for a full boundary review to be undertaken ahead of the subsequent Senedd elections to create 16 new Welsh constituencies from the 2030 election onwards, and periodic reviews thereafter. To achieve this, the bill provides the Local Democracy and Boundary Commission for Wales with the functions necessary to undertake the pairing of the new UK Parliament constituencies in Wales, and to independently undertake regular reviews of the new Senedd constituency boundaries thereafter. And it renames it as the Democracy and Boundary Commission Cymru. This will mark the first time for us to have a body in Wales with the powers to review our Senedd's constituency boundaries. In association with the overall increase in the Senedd size and on the recommendation of the Senedd's Business Committee, the bill enables the Senedd to elect an additional Deputy Presiding Officer. It also increases the legislative limit upon the number of Welsh ministers who may be appointed from 12 to 17. The Special Purpose Committee also recommends that further consideration should be given on a cross-party basis to exploring the feasibility and legislative challenges associated with enabling election on the basis of job sharing. In response, the bill provides a pathway for further consideration of the practical and the legislative implications of job sharing by the next Senedd. The bill does not address a limited number of Special Purpose Committee recommendations. We will address its recommendations on candidate gender quotas and the publication of information about the diversity of candidates through forthcoming legislation. Whilst preparing this legislation, we've also considered several related policy areas. For example, the bill provides for returning Senedd elections to a 4-year cycle from 2026. As members will know, 4-year terms were the norm in Welsh democracy at the point of devolution and only changed in response to the UK Fixed Term Parliaments Act of 2011. That act has since been repealed, and I believe that a return to 4-year terms would be more appropriately balanced considerations of democratic renewal and accountability to the people of Wales. The bill also makes provision to disqualify any person who is not registered in the Register of Local Government elections at an address within Wales from standing as a candidate for election to the Senedd and from being a member of the Senedd. And finally, the bill provides for a review mechanism to consider its operation and effect. Now, I bring this legislation forward on behalf of the Senedd and, if passed, it is appropriate that such a review will be undertaken by the Senedd. This provides the impetus for a Senedd committee to consider issues such as the impacts of the new voting system on proportionality, the introduction of multi-member constituencies, the experience of closed lists, and any other Senedd reform issue it considers relevant. Wrth gwrs, diwnewid byth yn hawdd, does byth amser da I newid. Mae buddsoddi yn undemocratiaeth yn costio, ond bydd y cost dymor hir yn fwy os dydyn ni ddim yn manteisio ar y cyfle yma nawr. The Welsh Government has worked with partners to develop detailed cost estimates that set out the projected financial implications of this legislation over an 8-year period. From 2031 onwards, the bill will entail an estimated annual cost of between £14.5 and £17.5 million in a typical year. Y gwerth a'r pwys rynyn I roi ar sefydliadau democrataidd a pha mor bwysig ydyn nhw I Gymru. Nawr ac yn y dyfodol ydy'r her, mae hyn yn golygu'r gwerth rynyn I roi ar y gallu yn garchioli pawb yn Cymru wrth wneud penderfyniadau ar ei ran penderfyniadau sy'n effeithio fawrdau. The Senedd has responsibility for scrutinising the expenditure of more than £24 billion each year. It will take an improvement in value of around 0.07% of this budget to offset the cost of investing in the Senedd's capacity. That is less than 0.1% of the Senedd's budget. Better scrutiny delivers better governance, and better governance pays for itself. Since Wales voted in favour of devolution 26 years ago, devolution has not stood still. As powers and responsibilities have grown, almost the only things that have remained the same is the Senedd size and the way members are elected. It has taken many reports over many years to get us to this point. But now we have a bill before us that will deliver a national parliament that reflects modern Wales and has the capacity it needs to represent the people of Wales. Rhaid I ni achub ar y cyfle yma. I firmly believe that this is an opportunity we must grasp. I look forward to the scrutiny of the bill by members and to hearing the views of stakeholders, delivery partners and the public during the legislative proses. Diolch yn fawr, Llywydd.